Welcome back to the Distant Vale. Harry here, and today we'll be painting the Plague Knight from Trench Crusade, mini provided courtesy of Factory Fortress Inc., the official Trench Crusade mini providers. So today we're going to start off by just base coating this entire model in some true metallics. So I'm going to get some plate mail, the air variety from the army painter, and I'm going to mix in a little bit of black ink, and this is going to help darken down the true metallic without losing any of that mica flake luster. What can often happen is if you use just a normal matte acrylic paint, you'll sort of dilute the shine. So adding the acrylic ink is a nice way to keep that luster without affecting how the metallics work. Right, and with that darker metallic base coat done, I want to come through and start to give it a very basic highlight. So I'm going to grab that same plate mail paint that we used before, undiluted with any sort of inks or anything, whack it on the tip of a dry brush and just gently brush that over the raised edges of the model. So I'm going nice and gentle and just taking my time. I really want to build up a nice gentle highlight along these edges, because I'm going to be coming back through and dirtying this armor up in the next couple of steps. What I'm going to be working on today is some non-effect paint, sort of rust effects. So I'm going to take some mahogany from Vallejo, and I'm going to water it down really quite thin. Now it's already an air acrylic paint, so it's going to be a runnier consistency, but I want to add probably about 6 parts water to it and just gently run this over the majority of the model. Now I'm going to leave a couple of spots untouched just to give that model a bit of sort of interesting texture, but this is going to be the base coat for the rust effect. So something dark, warm, sitting very faintly in that orange family. And once dried, you can see it darkens down quite a lot of the model, but it's not overpowering that underlying metallic. And with that darker color down, I want to come through something a little bit brighter. I'm going to be using red terracotta, again from Vallejo, watering it down by the same amount, but this time I'm going to be a little bit more selective and restrained as to where I put this. Really trying to focus on areas that are prominent and I sort of feel would have a bit more contact with water, allowing it to rust a bit more. But honestly, you can be a little bit more free-handed and sort of go where the paintbrush wishes. Messy is better with this technique. And then once that's dried again, I'm going to come in with something even brighter. It's going to be lava orange, our brightest rust color. And with this, I'm going to be very deliberate as to where I run this in along the model, aiming for roughly the center of any of those sort of larger spaces that I've hit, or anywhere where I really want that rust to be prominent as an effect on the mini. And with this sort of style of painting, again, be messy and really thin that paint down. Again, it's about 6 parts of water to 1 part paint is ideal. Sometimes even less, and just going over it a couple of times can be really useful for building up a believable rust effect. Now what we're going to do is going to come back in with that same plate metallic paint, and I'm going to very gently dry brush, aiming to leave a little bit more texture, so I'm not completely knocking that paint off, but I'm just very lightly brushing it down so it's giving it a very believable sort of worn and rusted metallic with brighter edges. Now, coming down to the haft of the pike, or the halberd there, I'm just going to come in with that same mahogany paint that I used as the base for the rust, and I'm just going to base coat the wooden shaft of this pole. With that base coat down, the next thing I want to work on here is adding some texture to the highlights, and with this I'm going to getting Vallejo Tan Earth, Yellow Ochre, and Red Terracotta, mixing in each of these with the mahogany paint that I used as the base coat, and I'm going to be sort of just almost stippling this paint onto the raised edges of the Mini, and I'm being very liberal here, and I want to add sort of a rough texture without having to paint too much on, because just that smooth wooden shaft there is not a particularly interesting part of the model. And anywhere where I feel like I just want a little bit more shadow, I'm taking that black acrylic ink I used for darkening down the metal, adding that into the mahogany as well, just to create a bit of a shadow on the underside of the shaft. Right, next step is to paint the cloth off the back shoulder of the Plague Knight. So I'm going to be using those same three colours, the Tan Earth, Yellow Ochre, and Red Terracotta. And I'm going to be doing a quick and dirty wet blend. So I'll be thinning the paint down to maybe like 3-4 parts water, 1 part paint, and really just gobbing it on the cloth there, with the aim of just working them together at the boundaries. And the joys of working with sort of any faction that's a little bit more gross. It doesn't need to be particularly clean. I will be bringing all those sort of different colors together with a filter step next. So when you're doing this on your own models, just really go hard on slapping the paint on, and really get it looking kind of gross. Because yeah, once we add the green skin from the Army Painter and a really thinned down filter consistency, it is going to tie a lot of those disparate elements together and make them look a lot more cohesive. And you can see just what that filtering step does. Now to highlight this fabric, I'm going to take that Yellow Ochre, because that's the brightest of those three colours. I'm going to mix in a little bit of Brain Matter Beige just to brighten it up and desaturate the colour a little bit. And I'll just very gently work up a few different layers of highlights along this fabric. Again, because it's meant to be a little bit more like an aged sort of rotting cloth, it doesn't need to be particularly pretty highlighting. And the best thing about this sort of using that Brain Matter Beige is that it will desaturate that yellow quite a lot, but it will still look like it belongs on the fabric, as opposed to using like a matte white paint or an ink. And the last step here is to tone everything back down again with a wash. Now, the Army Painter Military Shader wash is notorious for being extremely shiny when dried, and it's a bit of a challenge to varnish a model that's covered in true metallics, because a matte varnish will basically negate the whole reason of using a true metallic paint. So I'm going to use some brush on matte varnish and just varnish the cloth, just to make sure that that wash paint shine doesn't make it look wet. I want this to look dry, dusty, and aged, not covered in slime. And with that varnish, the Mini's done. It's a real quick and easy Mini to paint, given that it's all just the same rusty metallic, but I think we've got a nice finish here, and now all it needs is a basing material and a bit of a rim around the base, and it's good to go. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end. Really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch along as I painted up that Plague Knight. It's a real joy to be starting to work a little bit more with stuff that's outside my comfort zone. Very much not a grim, dark and dirty painter, but getting into some of the Trench Crusade minis, I'm looking forward to trying something which is going to be a little messier, a little less clean, and maybe not quite so bright. So watch the space. I should have a few more of these coming out your way in the very near future. Once again, thank you very much guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.